Hi, everyone. This is real estate coach Craig Proctor, and welcome to the Craig Proctor Real Estate Show. Today, my very special guest is Nikki Silver. Nikki is a RE/MAX agent in Fredericton, New Brunswick, Canada. Nikki, welcome to the Craig Proctor Show.
Thank you for having me, Craig.
Nikki, you're a positive person. You've been with us here for not too long. I wanted to get you on here because you've had such great success in a short time period. Why don't we introduce you to everybody? Tell us a little bit about yourself, how long you've been in real estate, how you discovered Craig Proctor, and what's happened to your business since.
Absolutely. So I joined real estate 4 years ago. I'm a culvert realtor, as they say, in 2020. I didn't initially start out with RE/MAX. I started out with another office. However, I soon found RE/MAX. I watched you, Craig, for a year. I took every free podcast that I possibly could take, get as much information, as much knowledge as what I possibly could. And finally, January of 2024, I decided to take the stretch, and I'm like, I'm jumping in full force. I've been a full-time realtor since I've started, and it's been amazing.
Great. Well, I know I just from knowing you the brief period of time I've known you, you're a pretty positive person. And I really appreciate the fact that you've jumped in here with both feet. You've been to a couple of our conferences in Toronto. You're going to be attending our huge Anaheim, California event that's coming up November 11th and 12th. So folks, if you're watching this, you want to be involved and you want to come to one of these awesome Craig Proctor conferences, you want to contact me right away, Craig@CraigProctor.com, and we can get you information on our Anaheim conference. So, Nikki, you started at RE/MAX, or you're at RE/MAX. I started at RE/MAX. You know my story. The only reason I got into real estate because my father was a real estate agent. If my father was a mechanic, maybe I'd be a mechanic today. But I had dropped out of college. I dropped out of university. My father actually discouraged me from getting into real estate. But how it works, you do the opposite of what your parents do. And my dad was at RE/MAX. So my story was the first year I made the same mistake that we all make, which is I don't know how to sell real estate. So I'm just going to look around at what everyone else is doing. I'm going to do exactly what my father, who was a 20-year real estate veteran at the time, I'm going to do what they tell me to do, which meant cold calling, door knocking, sitting in open houses, doing floor time. And Nikki, you want to know what I'm thinking after the first year? This sucks, and my dad was right. So that's what I'm honestly thinking. I was like, why didn't I listen to my dad? Now, here was my problem. I had nowhere else to go. Like, I couldn't fail again. My parents had already paid for me to go to college and university. I messed that up. So I had to figure it out, and that I did. 24 months later, I became the #1 RE/MAX agent in the world. So I love RE/MAX. I stayed at RE/MAX my entire 25-year career. I was always one of the top RE/MAX agents in the world. And so I met a lot of other successful agents through RE/MAX. Of course, they promoted me. And I'm assuming that's why you're at RE/MAX, because they give you freedom to be able to do things and step out and be entrepreneurial.
Absolutely.
So that's my shout out to RE/MAX. Okay, that's my shout out. That's our commonality is both RE/MAX people. And by the way, everybody, I was never a broker owner. I was selling 500 to 600 homes a year with my team. I'm in a little marketplace north of Toronto called Newmarket. And at the time, I had like 50,000 people. I worked in Newmarket and Aurora, so it was probably about 80,000, 100,000. What's the size of Fredericton?
You've stumped me, Craig, on this one.
Population-wise, probably not, what, 100,000?
I want to say roughly 100,000,
Yeah.
give or take, with all of the people coming from West and from Ontario.
All right, so Fredericton is in New Brunswick, and New Brunswick is in Eastern Canada, if you're from the US, and you may not know the Canadian geography. The point I want to make is Fredericton is about the same size as my marketplace. Okay, so now you're challenged. You got to sell 500 to 600 homes, Nikki, in this marketplace. But I was told at the time that selling that much real estate in a small marketplace was impossible. Nikki, we're told a lot of things when we get into real estate by people that have limiting beliefs. And before we got started, I said to Nikki, I said, people give us advice based on what they actually believe, based on their paradigm. And one of the big gifts that I help real estate agents with is the gift that I learned back when I first got into real estate, which is the only thing that was holding Craig Proctor back in that first year was my belief system, what I was told to do. We call these old paradigms. And so the entire real estate industry is operating within this old paradigm. And what we believe, right, what we are led to believe is real estate is hard, that there's scarcity out there, there's not much business out there, and you have to do dumb things like cold call and door knock and beg for business. And none of that is true. So when you started watching me on social media, there was something refreshing about what you were hearing, which is, you're in Canada, I'm in Canada. I'm a lot older than you, but at the time, I was probably the same age as you when I started to have this kind of success. And when I talk to people about the Craig Proctor system, what I like to talk about is what it's not about. So, Nikki, if you hang with me, you're never going to make a cold call again. You're never going to have to chase people. You don't have to do floor time. You don't have to do all the terrible, horrible things that everybody says you need to do when you get into real estate. Now, you have been a good student. Now, I know that because you're into this, right? And so, as a coach or a speaker, like at the Toronto event, I'm looking out at the audience. And so I'm watching the people in the audience. And what you don't want to see is, obviously people sleeping or, nodding off or not paying attention. But I remember you at the conference because you're there and you've got a big smile and you're nodding and you're getting this. And I can tell you're going to do great things with this. Now, already you've had this has not even been announced yet, folks, but Nikki, in just starting out with Craig Proctor, for the second month in a row, is the top agent for RE/MAX Atlantic. Is that correct?
No, I'm within the top 100.
Top 100.
100
Top 100.
in
Okay.
Atlantic Canada.
All right. Well, we're going to make you the top one out of Atlantic Canada. So, I mean, that's a pretty big accomplishment, right? In a short period of time you've been in real estate, you're in the top 100 of all of the RE/MAX agents in Atlantic Canada. And I don't know how many agents would be in Atlantic Canada, do you know?
I would have to get back to you on that one.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
Well, let's say thousands.
Yeah.
Thousands. And you're in the top 100. Okay. So, let's talk about what has changed since you met me, since you got involved, as far as your mindset, how you think about real estate, and then actually how you've changed your business because of this new way of thinking about it.
So I watched you for the year because I felt that I was being successful in real estate, but I didn't have the systems. And you kept talking about all of these different systems that you had and the certificates and the guarantees. And the more I watched, I'm like, I want to be a different realtor. I want to be set apart from the other traditional realtors in the city. So that's when January of 2024, I jumped on board. Having said that, do I have all the systems in place? Absolutely not. It's a lot of work. I absolutely sometimes feel that I'm so overwhelmed that I'm like, okay, which way do I turn? What do I do next? And
okay,
you
you probably don't know the exact answer to this, but there's so much that we offer. It's really like, a smorgasbord of great ideas and systems. What would you say percentage-wise of 100% that you're aware of, what percentage would you say of Craig Proctor have you implemented right now?
I might have implemented 15% because it's so much.
You know what's interesting? You know, at that Toronto event that we're at just a couple weeks ago, somebody asked Tony Johal. Now, Tony Johal is another RE/MAX agent. He's one of the top RE/MAX agents in all of Canada. He does like $3 or $4 million of GCI. And someone in the audience asked Tony Johal that. They said, Tony, you've been with Craig now for 15 years. What percent of all the ideas, everything in the Craig Proctor system, what percentage of it have you implemented? He said the same thing, I don't know, 15 or 20%.
Mhm.
And this is important because I want real estate agents to understand you don't have to do everything. But if you take the things, people ask, well, what of all the things you offer, since I can't do it all because I'd be overwhelmed, what should I focus on? You should focus on the things you believe will cause you the most leverage in your business. And so this is a journey that we're on, and we want to make fun, well, make sure that it is fun, right? The destination is what this looks like at the end, but um, every year I want you to be able to look back and say, I've implemented more, and at the end of the day, I've made more money and I've worked less. What is your goal? Let's say, like, if you could wave a magic wand, what would make you really happy, say, 5 years from now? What would you like this business to look like?
In 5 years, I want to be able to travel with my partner more around the world. And I want to have a team that is more local, that is working, and I have more time to spend with my family.
Yeah. And that's the thing that we always want to have in front of us, right? I remind real estate agents that selling real estate is a means to the end, right? I don't think anyone on their deathbed is going to say, "Oh, I'm glad I sold that extra house." This is a great industry we're in because, first of all, it's a positive industry. We're not selling people funeral plots or life insurance or things they don't want to buy. We're actually selling people things they want, which is houses, and it's something that will help our clients do well and have create wealth in their own lives. Um, Doing real estate the old way is very, very difficult. This is why in Canada and the United States, there's about an 80% failure rate. What I mean by that is 80% of the people that get a real estate license do not make it to their fifth anniversary. In the Craig Proctor system, we've created more millionaire agents in the United States and Canada, either coach or trainer. Let's switch to meeting these people at the conferences. When you get to, rub shoulders with Tony Johal, who's with Remax making $3 million a year, or Bertrand and Argy from Quebec, who are now, they've got 80 agents working on their team, and you see they're able to go to Greece for 3 weeks. When you meet these people, it's very, very inspirational. Talk about the network and the importance of the people you've met within the Craig Proctor system.
It's an amazing network because Remax really is also focused on networking, going to these events. I went to conference in Toronto for 5 days, and then I come back for a couple days, and I was back in Toronto for 3 days with you for training. I do feel that these events are extremely important. And when I'm able to surround myself around the successful people and communicate with them outside of being at the event and having them a text or a phone call away, I feel so much more of a family, and referrals are being sent, which is amazing within the Craig Proctor system.
Yeah, I always, when an agent says to me, for example, this event we have coming up in Anaheim in a few weeks, I've talked to a couple of our members like, well, I don't know if I can afford to go, the airfare, or, who's going to take care of my dog. If you come to these events and you put yourself out there and you meet lots of agents, what you make in referral income just from networking with the top agents all over the US and Canada would more than pay for your Craig Proctor membership. So
Absolutely.
I've never really understood. I know one of our coaches in Arizona, Lester Cox. Lester every year makes $100,000 to $150,000 just from Craig Proctor referral business. He's like, I could never afford to quit you. I'd take a massive pay cut. But I think the social proof is really, really important because what we're trying to do is we're trying to get real estate agents to think totally different. The Craig Proctor system really is about pushing against industry norms. So what I mean by that is pretty much everything that they teach you to do in real estate, we tell you to do the opposite. We want to show real estate agents how to set themselves apart from other real estate agents. And the easiest way to do that is to be different. We're taught, well, you have to be better. Well, it's easier to be different than it is to be better. When people look at what I was able to do, remember, the first year I failed, I was going to leave real estate. And within 24 months of that, so in under 3 years of getting my real estate license, I'm named the top Remax agent in the world. How did I do that, right? It's amazing because I convinced the greater north part of Toronto that I was the number one choice for selling your home, even though I only have my real estate license for 36 months. So fame is created. People need to know who you are, but they also they need to understand, attached to knowing who you are, what makes you different and better. And a lot of agents mistake it like, I just need to brand myself and people need to know me. That's a good start, but I think everyone watching this would agree. Well, there's lots of people that know who you are. They know you're a real estate agent, but they still listed their home with someone else. So that's all the proof we need to know that just because somebody knows you doesn't mean they're necessarily going to do business. Tony Johal at that conference said something, Nikki, I hope you picked up this point. It was so good. He said, when I started with Craig Proctor, sellers used to hire me because of what I did. He goes, now people hire me because of who I am. And I thought
Yep.
that's an amazing distinction. So Tony has attached to his identity the Craig Proctor Guaranteed Sale Program. So if you guys Google Tony Johal, Johal, and you should Google Nikki Silver as well. How you show up online is very important because we all agree this is where the consumer starts, right? If I'm going to go buy a
Absolutely.
car or any product or service, how many of you would agree watching this that you start with a Google search, right? You're going to do a little bit of research. Tony Johal does a masterful job of selling himself online when people in Kitchener, Ontario are thinking of real estate or real estate agents or selling their home. He's there and he sells himself so well that by the time he shows up, people are like, oh my God, I can't believe you're actually in my house and you're the guy that'll buy my home if it doesn't sell. So Nikki, that's what we're going to do with you. You're going to be the Tony Johal of Fredericton.
In Fredericton.
Yes. Yeah.
That's the
And
goal.
that's the goal. And so when I have someone like you that is enthusiastic and you're eager and you want to learn, I am going to do everything I can because this story that we're about to write here together, Nikki, is we're going to be talking about, when we get a year down the road, we're going to be talking about last year, 2024, like it's old news because here we are, we double it up again, double up again. You want to know a perfect example? Do you remember Jason Clark, who spoke at the conference?
Yes.
Okay, so Jason Clark has been a real estate agent for, I think, 4 years. Now, he was living, you remember he told his story, he was living somewhere in the Vancouver area, and I don't know what kind of business he was. He wasn't in real estate. And if you remember, he went over to the store next door. He ran some kind of retail store. And somehow he found out about Craig Proctor and he got excited. I think it was a real estate office that was next door to his, whatever business he was in. And in the photocopier was a copy of the real estate agent's commission check. So that's how he decided to get into real estate. He's like, my business sucks. This real estate agent just made $40,000. I need to be a real estate agent. During that time frame, he moves back from Vancouver to Toronto. And so now he's got his real estate license, but his wife, if you recall, lives, his wife's parents live in Montreal. This is how random his life is. He's like, I'm in Vancouver. I stumbled onto the office next door, real estate office. I see this commission check. I decide I want to get into real estate, but now we move back to the Toronto area. However, my wife wants to be closer to where her family's from, which is Montreal. So he says, we literally looked at the map and the halfway point between Montreal, where my wife's family is, and Toronto, where my family is, the halfway point is Kingston, Ontario. So he doesn't know anyone in Kingston. He joins the Craig Proctor system. First year, he makes a couple $100,000. The next year, he makes 400,000. The next year, he makes over 600,000. This year, well over $1 million. So when people say, I can't do that, or think of what he did. He literally didn't know anybody. He threw a dart at the wall, right? That would be like me saying to you, okay, Nikki, you're not going to sell in Fredericton anymore. You're going to sell in Calgary, right? And if you took what you know right now, you could actually just go into another marketplace and reinvent it.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yep.
So anyway, Jason Clark, who's in Kingston, Ontario, he's also with Remax. I'm dropping a lot of Canadians, a lot of Remax agents here. You guys that are skeptics, go Google, okay? Check out Nikki Silver with Remax in Fredericton. Check out Tony Johal, one of the top Remax agents in all of Canada in Kitchener, Ontario. Check out Jason Clark, one of the top Remax agents in Canada. He's in Kingston, Ontario. And of course, you don't have to be with Remax to be successful with the Craig Proctor system, but I am dropping a lot of Remax names here. So Remax, shout out to you. Next time you need to bring a speaker in, you don't have to worry about like bringing in Tom Ferry or somebody that's never sold a house. You just call Craig Proctor here. Your superstar, right? All right, now Nikki, things that you've implemented. I know you don't want to share our trade secrets here, so we would love to tell everybody the millionaires, but we're not allowed to tell everybody exactly what we do. But off the top, give everyone a couple examples of how your approach has changed.
I offer some certificate guarantees to sellers and also to my buyers, and I have a VIP buyer agreement that I also use.
Mm-hmm. And so you have no problem when a buyer says to you or a seller says to you, "Hey, Nikki, I'm going to be speaking to a couple of other agents. Why should I choose to do business with you versus, say, my best friend that's a real estate agent?" You have a great answer to that.
I do, because I will ask them, have any of the other agents that's been in, I tried to either be the first or to be the last. The first, hopefully there's no one in after me, that they sign the contract with me. Or I also tried to be the last agent in also and have them sign the contract before I leave. But if I feel that things just are not going the way that I want them to go, then I will bring out this seller cancellation guarantee. And I recently won a listing over one of my fellow colleagues here in my office, and we were in competition with two other realtors, and I pulled out the cancellation guarantee and I won the listing.
So for all Canadians watching this, we're familiar with the term pulling the goalie, right? Or pulling out all the stops if you're in the US and you're not a hockey fan. But isn't it nice to know, Nikki, that in our briefcase, we have all these tools. Think of a utility tool, belt, like, I don't know, Superman or Batman might wear. I don't know who wears the belt, but you've got all these tools, weapons that you can pull out when necessary. So how many of you watching this as a realtor, you're running into that situation where you've almost got the client to commit to you, but maybe they're speaking to other agents, or maybe they say, well, I've got a friend that'll do it for less. Imagine being able to pull out of your briefcase some of these performance guarantees. So I'm going to lay some of these out and it's okay if we share this with all of you realtors, because the truth is you don't know how to do this. And that's why you need me, because you don't know how to do this. And part of what we're going to get into is you're not even going to believe you can do it. Okay. So you don't know how to do what I'm about to talk about. But I'm still going to share it with you. And some of you will be in disbelief. And I'm going to encourage you about what we're going to talk to now. Don't let your present thoughts hold you back. Have an open mind. Okay. Don't immediately go to why what I'm about to say won't work. Okay. Please just let down your guard, and any preconceived notions you have about how to sell real estate or what works or what you're allowed to do, just set those aside. You didn't join this webinar to learn nothing. Okay. You're not still watching this because you don't like it. Let's assume that, right? You're not looking for something to do. You're like, oh, I'm really bored today. I think I'll watch Craig and Nikki. That's not why you're here. You've heard of me, and now you've heard of Nikki. And you've got to make a determination, like you're watching this because you want help in your real estate business, right? You're not here for nothing. You want to improve your real estate business. That means you can't keep doing what you're doing. I'm sorry. I know a lot of agents say, well, I'm at 25 and I want to go to 50 transactions. Nope, it ain't going to happen if you keep doing what you're doing. It's not. It's like people say, well, I want to go to heaven, but I don't want to die. Sorry, it doesn't work that way. If you are serious about changing, here's what we need to do. We need to answer the biggest question buyers and sellers have, which is, why should I do business with you versus all other options, including doing nothing? All right. So a seller has an option, right? They could decide not to sell. They could decide to sell their home themselves, or they could list it with you or any of the thousands of agents you compete with. Same thing with buyers. So one of the things that I taught Nikki to do is we're going to use performance guarantees. Okay. Now, depending on how outrageous you want to be, we could do something easy, like what Nikki just said is, hey, I know every real estate agent says they're great and they're going to sell your home for top dollar and they're going to sell their home. They're going to provide great service and they're great negotiators. I can't be one of these realtors that comes into your house today and I sound good today just to get your business. I have to do a good job every day. In fact, I'm going to give you, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, an upfront cancellation guarantee that if I don't do everything I promised you, you're not happy for whatever reason, this is an unconditional guarantee. You can cancel a listing and you can go with somebody else. Okay. So a lot of agents do that, right? Do they? I don't know. No, they don't, right? What they say is, I'm really good. You should believe me. And there's a lot of skepticism today. So this is how we cut through it. Okay. Here, we're going to lay another one on. So the seller meets a couple of other agents, and every agent they meet with says, I'm going to sell your house fast. I'm going to sell it for top dollar. I'm a great negotiator. I do not believe any of your competitors are going to say, I'm a bad negotiator. I don't believe your competitors are going to tell the seller, I'm going to take a long time to sell your home. It's going to be super painful, and you're probably not going to be happy with the price. None of them are saying that, but they're all saying the opposite. They're all saying they're great. How do you cut through all that noise when the thousands of agents you're competing with are all saying the same thing? Here's how we do it. Your home sold in X amount of days, guaranteed, or I'll deduct $1,000 off my commission. Now, some of you are like, well, I don't want to deduct $1,000 off my commission. Right. So let's make sure we sell the home in under 30 days or 60 days. Remember, this would be your program. So we teach you how to set this up. Now, the seller's like, well, the other agents didn't give me an upfront guarantee. They didn't promise me in writing that they're going to sell my home in under 60 days. This will help you, by the way, negotiate a higher commission. You can say to the seller, give me an opportunity to negotiate my full fee. And if I don't perform as promised, then we'll reduce my commission. Okay, then we can move right to the mother of all guarantees. This is it. And this will freak all of you out. You know of this. Your home sold guaranteed or I'll buy it. Okay, so that's what I did. Brand new RE/MAX agent, right? Remember my story. I don't know anybody. I never sold anything in my life before. I've never taken any marketing at all. Even my father, who's a real estate agent, says, don't get into real estate. Why? Because you're going to fail. I'm like, Dad, I thought you wanted me to move out of the house. Yes, I do. I paid for your college. You didn't stick with that. I paid for your university. You didn't stick with that. What chance do you have? You've never sold anything in your life. Real estate is hard. I get into real estate anyway. Okay. I failed the first year. Why? Because I did everything they told me to do. And I tried really hard. Failure was not an option for Craig Proctor. Now, here's what I do. I start to promote your home sold guaranteed or I'll buy it. All of a sudden, everyone in my small town of Newmarket in Ontario knows Craig Proctor not as a real estate agent anymore. He's the guy that'll buy your home if it doesn't sell. I became known as that. And so I get some business and I sell the houses because I priced them right. And this was in 1991. It was a very down market. Prices had dropped 30%. So I was also known as the guy that'll get your home sold. So that one unique selling proposition, within 12 months, made me the number one RE/MAX agent in the world. Now, you might be thinking, well, how would I do that? First of all, let me say this. In over 25 years, I only bought 2 houses. So it's not that scary. Now, there's all kinds of performance guarantees that we offer that don't include buying homes or guaranteeing to buy homes. For example, we could say, I guarantee to sell your home for at least 98% of your list price, or I'll pay you $1,000. We can combine them. We could say, I could say, hey, Nikki, I guarantee to sell your home and to get you an offer on your home in under 60 days for at least 95% of the asking price, or I'll pay you $1,000 on closing when it does close. So performance guarantees are one way we can set ourselves apart. The other thing we can do is unique services. So, Nikki, our buyers in waiting program is a unique service, right? Imagine meeting with the seller and saying, oh, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, by the way, I have a list of 111 buyers that are looking to buy in the area. The Sunday Tour of Homes is an example of a unique service where everyone else is doing a traditional open house. So we've got unique performance guarantees that no one offers. We've got unique services that other agents don't offer. And then we've got statistics. So I bet you if I followed you around, Nikki, and I looked at your list to sales ratio and your days on the market and the percentage of home sellers that list with you that actually sell and close, all of your statistics are superior to the other statistics from the other agents you compete with. Now, we take all of that, and we put it into a presentation. So here's what home sellers and buyers in Fredericton are looking at. It's like, okay, Nikki's got better statistics. She does a better job, and she's got the proof of it compared to the MLS. She offers me guarantees, performance guarantees that the other agent, she's actually giving me upfront guarantees in writing that no one else is offering. And she provides unique services. And what happens is you create this presentation that you're using over and over again, just like anything that you would do over and over and over again, you become like really, really good at it. So you have an increase in your confidence at that point. And I didn't have that when I started. I had no confidence. I would walk into a seller's house with the belief, like, why would they list with me? And why did I believe that? Because they never did list with me, right? I would go in and I had no confidence. So having a presentation or this toolbox is very helpful to your confidence because you start to win. And when you start to win, you've got more confidence. Now, every Craig Proctor member who successfully does this reaches a point where they've got so much business coming in that they can't do it all themselves. Are you a solo agent at this point? Or are you growing your team?
I'm a solo agent, just recently got an assistant, and I'm looking to grow a team. I had to stop my sponsored ads because I could not keep up. So I do have an overflow and I can't get to them.
Okay, so
Which is a good feeling.
yes. So first of all, that is step number one. Step number one with every Craig Proctor member, honestly, to be successful with this, we have to have an overflow business. We must get this to the point we have so many buyers and sellers that you physically can't work with them. So that's what we teach you to do. Now, once you get to that step where you can't work, and a lot of people would be like, well, why would you want more business than you can work with? Well, first of all, it gives you the luxury of choice. Everyone watching this would agree some buyers are better than other buyers, some sellers are better than other sellers. If you had too many, if that was true for you and you had too many buyers or sellers, logically, you would decide, since you couldn't work with them all, you would choose to spend your time with the most qualified, the most sincere, the most ready to act buyers and sellers in your database. That's how you get rich selling real estate, by the way, not with people that are going to waste your time or disrespect you. But still, you're going to need some help at some point. If the end goal, which we talked about a minute ago, Nikki's like, my end goal is I'd like to have a real business, not a job as a real estate agent that depends on me 24/7. I want to travel with my partner. I want to see the world. I don't want to work for the rest of my life with this real estate job that eventually, as we know, when you work by yourself, it is just a job. It will consume you. That's why real estate agents can't go on vacation, or they don't want to. It's like, oh, the hell I pay, the price I pay when I go on vacation, all the work that piles up and the business I lose. A lot of real estate agents like it's not even worth going on vacation. We don't want that. We want to treat this like a real business, and real businesses have people. The secret to my longevity in real estate was I figured out how to sell 500 to 600 homes without working that hard. I know it's crazy, right? I worked harder. I never worked harder than that first year in real estate. And I also never made less money as a real estate agent than my first year. At the end of my career, I never made as much money as I made in the last few years of my career, and I never worked less. That's called leverage. See, we falsely believe that our income is attached to the number of hours worked. We're brought up that way. As kid, my parents would say, if you want to make more money, you got to work harder. So we're brought up, even in school and college. When you get into real estate, you look around, everyone's like working themselves to death and they're unhappy and it doesn't have to be that way. So we're going to teach Nikki next how to clone herself. Now, Nikki, I don't have to ask, but because we're perfectionists and we believe, me, you, everybody, we believe nobody can do it like us. Well, that's probably true. But sometimes they can do it better than us. So the next step, Nikki, is we're going to analyze everything that you do all day long. And I wish I had like a little plastic ruler here, because the little plastic rulers you use in school. Imagine if I was following you around at your office, and I've got my iPhone here and I've got the timer set off for every 10 minutes. And every 10 minutes I come and I give you a little slap on the wrist. I go, Nikki, what are you doing right now? And you might say, well, I'm pulling off feature sheets, or I'm taking pictures, I'm getting keys cut. So what we are going to establish is what Nikki is worth per hour. And the idea is, and that might be, if we do some quick math, let's just say for quick math, let's say an agent makes 100 grand a year and they work 40 hours a week. Maybe they take 2 weeks off for vacation. So they work 50 weeks of the year if they take 2 weeks off. So 40 hours a week times 50 weeks. For the average agent, they trade 2,000 hours of their life to make 100 grand. 100 grand divided by 2,000 hours, that means the realtor's worth $50 an hour. Why is the realtor at Home Depot getting keys cut? That's not $50, right? And so you want to go to $100 an hour and $1,000 an hour. So we teach you how to slowly replace yourself with other people. And my first hire was a lady by the name of Lindy Black. And that first year she worked with me, she made over $250,000 for her. I was on a 50-50 split. Remember, I was never a broker. I'm a RE/MAX agent, just working in the RE/MAX office. So technically, this lady, Lindy Black, she didn't work for Craig. She just was another RE/MAX agent, and we would split the commission on the overflow. And that worked so well. But eventually, Lindy came into my office one day, hairs all over the place. She goes, I can't do this. I created so much overflow that I was cherry picking the A and B leads. I'm giving the overflow to Lindy, and now she can't handle it. Then I hire another one. So eventually we had 8 licensed agents that were doing most of the heavy lifting, which allowed me to do the thing that you want to do: travel, have a real business that worked 24/7 without my constant interference. I'm not saying that I wasn't involved in my business, but I wasn't doing 80% of the heavy lifting was done by my people. So I want everyone to ask themselves this. Do you have a job or do you have a business? Let's be honest. And what would you rather have? Right? If you want to have a job, that's totally fine, but understand it is what it is, which means as a real estate agent, you're going to be very limited with the money that you make, right? You're going to make 100 grand, you're going to make 200 grand, you're going to make 300, whatever you're going to make, but there will be a limit. How many of you watching this are already limited? You're stuck. It's like, I can't give anymore. That's the point I got to in the first year. It's like, I'm already working 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. There's no more to give. It would be impossible back then for Craig Proctor to sell more houses because I believed it was all up to me. I didn't understand how to leverage myself with other people. And every time I hired the right person at the right time in my business, 2 things happened. I made more money and I worked less. So we need people. But first, you have the overflow. A lot of bad advice on what I just said. A lot of trainers out there are telling you, well, gee, Nick, if you want to get rich in real estate, run out and hire a bunch of people. That's terrible advice, because what you're doing now is you're giving away business that you could handle yourself and unnecessarily splitting commission. So we never want to do that, right? We only get it. Plus, who wants to come and work with you unless you have an overflow? If we have agents in the Fredericton area that are watching this here, let me give you some good advice. If you're ambitious and you're coachable, you don't need to call Craig Proctor. You should just contact Nikki. And you should contact Nikki and say, hey, look, when you're ready, Nikki, if you truly have this overflow of, we're talking listing appointments and buyer appointments, not giving you crummy leads. We're not giving you Zillow leads. We're not telling you to call the phone book. We're saying Nikki's at a point where she can't physically work with all the buyers and sellers. Now, just so you know, of course, Nikki's going to cherry pick the best ones. Yeah, well, like when her best friend from high school calls, says, I want to list my house, she's not giving that to you. She's going to go do it herself. But there will be so many appointments coming in because I'm going to make this my personal mission to work with Nikki. Because now that I've said all this, we have to make this happen, right, Nikki? And we're gonna blow this up because Nikki is going to be one of my biggest success stories. I know that. I feel that because I've had 30 years of experience working with agents, and I understand people that get it and people that don't. So we're going to continue to crank up the overflow. And here's what's going to happen, Nikki. Eventually, if not yet, you're going to say, Craig, I can't do it. I can't do anymore, right? I literally cannot get to the listing appointments and buyer appointments. At that point, you're going to be able to say to the agents in your area, the ones that you would like to partner up with, you're going to be able to say, guess what? I got something that you want. I'm not giving you leads. I'm not going to tell you to go cold call or buy leads. You can do that by yourself. I have actual listing appointments and buyers that are ready to sign a buyer or contract that I physically can't get to. That's why they're going to want to partner with you because you've got something that they want, right? And they're going to make really good money with you. They're going to make so much money with you that they're never going to leave you because they're going to realize they can make more net in their pocket. Now, if you're watching this, you're an agent in Fredericton, okay? Get Nikki Silver on your radar. Some of you already know her. Some of you may be annoyed by her ascend, like she's doing well, right? And you might be looking at her and you might be saying, how's she doing this? Here's how she's doing it. She's smart. She's worked hard. She's plugged into the Craig Proctor system. And you would be well served by having a conversation with her and say, hey, Nikki, I don't know if I'm a good fit for you. And Nikki would, she would take you and talk to you and to find out whether you are. We're not going to bring on people that are not a good fit. You have to be coachable. You have to be willing to work hard. And you would literally do this. You would be going, if you partnered up with Nikki, whenever she's ready to do this, you would be going from listing appointment to listing appointment or buyer appointment to buyer appointment. We would give you the presentation. Okay. You're not going to wing it. You're not going to make it up. You're going to follow the Craig Proctor system. And because we want you to make a lot of money, we don't want you to come back to the office and say, and give Nikki a story about why, they weren't going to list. We want you to get the listing. Nikki, in turn, not only would she be giving you the listing appointments and buyer appointments, Nikki's going to be your coach. So I coach Nikki, and then Nikki is going to coach you. Now, why would Nikki actually be motivated to spend hours with you every week? Because the more money you make, the more money Nikki makes, right? Now, I know all the companies, real estate companies in Fredericton, they all promise free training. Really? Well, number one, does that happen? And number two, is the training, does it exist? And number two, who's doing the training? Who's doing the training? Some guy that was never successful selling real estate, right? Those that, I shouldn't say this, maybe those that can do and those that can't teach. Well, I did both for a long time. I was doing the doing. I sold over 10,000 homes actually doing what we're talking about here today. And now I'm doing the teaching. So everyone in Fredericton is going to know who Nikki Silver is. Okay, they're going to know her. The sellers and buyers are going to understand why she's different and better. And the other agents, some are going to get jealous and some are going to say, you know what? If you can't beat him, join him. I'm going to give Nikki a call and I'm going to find out how I could benefit by partnering up with Nikki. So now for the rest of you that are not in Fredericton, you're not in Nikki Silver's marketplace, what I want you to do is I want you to contact me. Remember, you're still watching this, right? That means you're interested. You're not watching this. The people that were not interested, they already stopped watching this. If you're still watching this, that means you're interested. You've heard of Craig Proctor before. And no matter what big city you are in Canada, the United States, there is a Craig Proctor system member that is kicking butt and taking prisoners or taking no prisoners or whatever they call that. They're doing really well. They're making millions and millions of dollars. So if you are anywhere in Canada, the United States, and you would like to have a conversation with me about how this would apply to you, you can book a free breakthrough call. It's free. It costs you $0. And I'm also going to offer everyone a free report here for $0. What you're going to do is you're going to go to proctorcall.com. There's a little video you're going to watch there. You're going to watch the video, and you can book a call with my team. Proctor Call, we'll put that in the comments below, proctorcall.com. No space, just my name, proctorcall.com. You'll go to my acuity day timer, pick a day and a time, and reserve about a half an hour. Now, here's what we're going to do in the half an hour. We're going to blow you completely away, right? And if you don't like it, by the way, just hang up and, keep doing what you're doing. But this is the challenge. We're going to blow you away in a half an hour about what we have and what you can do. And then we're going to give you ample evidence, give you 100 people, agents you can Google and you can go talk to. And you can satisfy yourself. And look, Craig Proctor is not right for everybody. But if you're still watching this, it means I'm right for you. So I'd like your comments as well. Go ahead and let us know what you liked about our session here today or what you didn't like. I mean, I want to get better just like all of you. So you can give us your honest feedback, what you liked, what you didn't like. Now, Nikki, I didn't ask you this before we got started, but would you want to give your contact information or how can people reach you?
Sure. If people would like to reach out to me, you can send me text or call me at 1-506-440-7696, or you can also email me at silverrealty, silverrealty2020@gmail.com. I'd love to answer any questions you may have. This was the best decision, Craig, by joining the CP system. I'm so happy.
Well, it's great having you here, Nikki. We'll go back to you for some final remarks in a second. Before we wrap it up, I want to share with everyone some free resources. Faith, if you can drop the special report, we're going to share with you something that all of you can request absolutely free of charge. All of our contact information, so Nikki's and mine, we'll add into the comments below. So if you want to reach out to us, my email address, by the way, is easy. It's craig@craigproctor.com. You can shoot me an email. Make sure you're following me on social media. Make sure that you turn on notifications. If you want to be a member of my private Facebook group, we've got like 8,000 agents as part of my private Facebook group. Let us know in the comments below. Just type in private group. We'll get you an invitation. Faith, are we able to do a screen share and show that report? Okay, I don't know what happened to Faith, but
yes,
here she comes. Here she comes. How to set yourself apart from other agents? Well, ironically, that's exactly what Nikki and I were talking about today. Like, you need to do this, right? You cannot say, when the seller says, why should I choose to do business? You can't say, because I try hard and I'm nice and I've lived in this town for 17 years. So we lay it all out here for you. This is absolutely free. Okay. It just summarizes exactly what Nikki and I talked about. So if you want to request this, just type into the comments below, free report, and Faith here will send it out to you. Free report. And it's just a bunch of testimonials. But if you go up to the top of it, it's everything that we talked about here today. So you want to book a call with me, it's proctorcall.com. If you want the free report, type in the comments below, free report. Okay. We'll also have Nikki's contact information there as well. And we'll go full screen again. And we'll go, Nikki, just something brilliant, I guess, to end it here. Some final remarks before we wrap this awesome interview up.
If anyone is sitting on the fence and contemplating or wants to take a leap and make a change in their real estate career, I was very nervous. I was scared, but I will never, ever not have you coach me, Craig. I feel that in order to make me a better agent for my sellers and for my buyers, I need to always have that extra coaching and that knowledge, because real estate it's always changing.
Yeah, and what gets me really excited about doing what I'm doing, Nikki, are agents like you that come here and you've put your trust into this, and I'm not going to let you down. I'm going to make sure that you have everything you need. It's just so cool to watch the growth and confidence. And we're not just talking about selling more homes, but actually watching the changes to the members in their confidence and their lifestyle. And I know a lot of you watching, it's like, well, money's not everything. Well, that's true. I've come from a place where I had no money, and I got to say, honestly, I like it better with money. But you can do a lot more good with money than without money. And the money we make, let's just be real. Your income dictates where you live, right? The kind of house you live in, the neighborhood you live in, it dictates where your kids go to school. It dictates what kind of car you drive, the clothes you wear, where you go on vacation, when you go on vacation, who you can give money to, a charity, or what you care about, the people in your life that you want to take care of. So it's really, really important. And it doesn't have to be a drag. Okay, this is a game worth playing. Okay, this is fun. It's like Monopoly, but we're playing with real money, and you're helping people do something they really want. And at the end of the day, they say, thank you, thank you, thank you. And they refer, if you do a great job, they refer their friends and their family, and then they go and they give you a 5-star review. If this is the kind of lifestyle you want, you don't have to say yes today. All you have to do is do what Nikki did in the beginning. Just say maybe. I'm going to check it out. I'm going to start watching this guy. And you're going to realize whether Craig Proctor is for you or not for you. So I want to thank everybody so much for watching this and still watching this right to the end. Nikki, you're going to be my superstar here in Atlantic Canada, and you're well on your way. Top 100 for Remax Atlantic Canada in such a short time period. That's awesome. And that's just the beginning of our story here, Nikki. So thanks so much for doing our interview. And I want a big thank you for everybody who watched us as well. Thank you for being here. And that wraps up this edition of the Craig Proctor Real Estate Show. Everybody take care. Thank you, everybody.